The gunman, who was dressed as a construction worker wearing a white dust mask, fired shots point blank at Raposo's head.
The man hired to carry out the execution, Dean Wiwchar, smirked at the verdict.
Though only 26 years old, Wiwchar already has a lengthy criminal record.
Hey guys, in today's video we'll be talking about Dean Wiwchar, a notorious hitman that was involved in multiple high-profile assassinations of gang leaders in both the east and west coasts of Canada. Let's get into it. Starting with his early life and how he started his criminal activities. Dean Wiwchar was born in 1986 to a middle-class family in Stouffville, Ontario. In one account, his lawyer even mentioned that Dean Wiwchar came from a good family, which is unusual to think about when considering his violent behavior. Into his late teens, he spent lots of his time rubbing shoulders with the authorities, a hobby that saw him occasionally jump in and out of custody. Right from a young age, Dean Wiwchar showed aggressive behavior. He appeared to have serious anger issues. According to his parole reports, he would flare up with little to no provocation. He got into many fights in high school and was sent home on multiple occasions. However, it was in 2004 that Dean Wiwchar made his debut in the world of serious crime. On one occasion in the fall of 2004, Wiwchar and his accomplices attacked and robbed 3 people in their vehicle with an assortment of different weapons, while disguised with hoods. One of the victims almost died from stab wounds. The very next day, Wiwchar attacked a man in his residence, reportedly slashing his face from the ear to his lip. And another 5 days after that, he was once again involved in another robbery, this time a home invasion, using a baseball bat as a weapon. As the years went by, Dean Wiwchar became a menace that terrorized the locals and authorities. Dean Wiwchar was only 18 years old when he was involved in a robbery spree across a McDonald's and a Harvey's restaurant in Richmond Hill, Ontario. The unfortunate employees of both establishments faced a gang of masked thieves and were hit with baseball bats. Between 2004 and 2005, Wiwchar faced more than 60 charges related to weapon possession and armed robberies and was notorious for disobeying court orders. However, he was never convicted of the charges until 2005, when he was convicted and handed a 6-year sentence behind bars for armed robbery and aggravated assault. He served his time at Matsqui Institution, a medium security prison in British Columbia. For many people, a 6-year sentence would be more than enough to cause a change of heart, but not for young Dean Wiwchar. He was a tough one to crack. On April 23, 2009, after serving 2/3 of his 6-year sentence, Dean Wiwchar was released into a British Columbian statutory house. And just a month later, he decided to go for a drive while intoxicated. He got into a car accident and his car rolled over, breaking his leg in the process. The RCMP arrived at the scene, and that's where they found a loaded gun and pot in Wiwchar's car. And to make matters even worse, it wasn't even his car. The car was leased to Wiwchar by a man who was already wanted by the police. From there, it was back to prison for Dean Wiwchar for the remainder of his 6-year sentence. Unfortunately for his fellow inmates and even the jail guards, Dean Wiwchar became even more violent in prison. He decided to vent out his frustration by assaulting 3 jail guards. In one of the 3 incidents, Wiwchar threatened to kill a jail guard, a move that had the judge add 30 days to his 2-year sentence. And soon after, Dean and 3 other inmates received another 30 additional days added to their sentences once again. And this time, it was for throwing hot coffee through a food slot in his cell door. His reason for this was because his target provoked him. And in the last incident, Dean Wiwchar even assaulted a jail guard with his walker, the same walker he acquired after his car accident. According to his parole board, he had armed himself with weapons he made and threatened to harm officers who entered his cell, causing a negotiator to be brought in. In October 2010, Wiwchar was granted another statutory release. However, the parole board was still concerned, with them mentioning that he was a violent offender who remained untreated and lacked respect for authority, courts, and the criminal justice system. Also talking about how he had beat victims with an assortment of weapons, such as a baseball bat, knives, his fists, and even his walker. On top of all of this, they brought up their concern that such a young man was assessed as a maximum security inmate, and how they feared that he would re-offend once released. By the age of only 27 years old, Dean Wiwchar had parole reports of more than 21 pages. Being released once again, Dean Wiwchar was now a free man. However, it wouldn't stay that way for long, since he would soon be up to trouble once again. This time appearing to have moved on from robbing and assaulting and getting into the much more serious business of becoming a hitman for hire. In 2012, Dean Wiwchar crossed paths with 3 men who were notorious in the drug trafficking scene. Their names were Nero, Martino Caputo, and Rabih Alkhalil. And they all wanted another man named John Raposo dead. To Nero and Caputo, Raposo was a rat who did them dirty. On the other hand, Alkhalil wanted to kill Raposo for the money. John Raposo was a drug dealer who worked with Wiwchar's clients. The three came up with a plan to dupe Raposo into believing that they had successfully shipped his 200 kilograms of cocaine from Chicago to Toronto. They would then kill Raposo and split the stash amongst themselves. They even used an encryption technology called Pretty Good Privacy to communicate their assassination plans. The stage was ready. Now all that was left was someone to do the dirty work. Dean Wiwchar's violent reputation spoke for itself. To them, despite his anger issues, he was the right man for the job. Dean Wiwchar was lured in by a sum of $100,000. Alkhalil recommended Wiwchar to Nero as his best hitter. Finally, everything was in place, and Dean Wiwchar had secured his payment. It was now time to act. Alkhalil rented a car for Wiwchar and gave him Raposo's home address and the location of the Sicilian Cafe in Little Italy, Ontario. According to Hollywood movies, most assassinations happen during the night. Ideally, the hitman would wait until the target was well secluded before sniffing him out with a sniper. But not Dean Wiwchar, he had his own script. According to eyewitnesses, the incident took place on one crowded afternoon as Raposo was enjoying an Italian Euro Cup game on Sicilian Cafe's sidewalk patio. Suddenly, a man dressed in construction clothes and a dirt mask walked in and shot Raposo in the head 4 times. A man named Fred, who was sitting with Raposo, was also caught up in the incident and took a few body shots. Fortunately, he survived. Alkhalil later texted Wiwchar and called him his favorite employee. Nonetheless, he still felt the hitman could have done a better job. He told Wiwchar, "It's time we put you in sniper school." 2012 was a busy year for Dean Wiwchar, since the Little Italy murder wasn't the only case he was involved in. The police also linked him and Rabih Alkhalil to several other assassinations before and after the Raposo murder in June. In January 2012, British Columbian gangster Sandip Duhre was murdered in the busy lobby of Sheraton Wall Centre in downtown Vancouver. Similarly, in November of the same year, Sukh Dakh and his bodyguard Thomas were found dead outside a Burnaby hotel. However, this time a new party was involved. Larry Amero was a suspect in Sukh Dakh's assassination as well. Larry Amero was the alleged founder of the Wolfpack Alliance, a well-known criminal organization consisting of the Hells Angels, Red Scorpions, and Independent Soldiers. In 2012, the law finally caught up with Dean Wiwchar, and this was for the last time. During Raposo's assassination, the police were already on Wiwchar's tail since he was also a prime suspect in Sandip Duhre's assassination, as I mentioned earlier. After a vicious chasedown, the Toronto police eventually caught and arrested Wiwchar near Parliament and Garrard Streets in Ontario. In his possession, he had several identification documents and thousands of dollars in cash. The police also found $20,000 cash in his parents' home in Stouffville. Upon further investigation into his Vancouver condo and Surrey safe house, the police found 16 guns, wigs, costume mustaches, and construction gear. In the spring of 2012, the jury sentenced Wiwchar to 10 years in prison for the illegal possession of 16 firearms. Later on, they arrested Alkhalil in Greece, Nero in Niagara Falls, and Caputo in Germany. In June 2017, the jury sentenced Alkhalil and Wiwchar to life imprisonment with no chance of parole for the killing of Raposo. On top of that, they received an additional 20 years behind bars for conspiring the same murder. The judge also sentenced Nick Nero and Martino Caputo to more than 20 years behind bars for conspiring to kill Raposo as well. The evidence was overwhelming. The police managed to crack the Pretty Good Privacy code I mentioned earlier and gained access to their secret communications. Turns out, Nero had written the password on a sticky note found in his Niagara Falls apartment. Almost a year later, in January 2018, Dean Wiwchar was charged with a first-degree murder in Sandip Duhre's case and conspiring to commit murder in Sukh Dakh's assassination. In the same months, Alkhalil and Amero were also charged with conspiring to commit murder in both assassinations. And that was the end for Dean Wiwchar, Little Italy's violent assassin. The last we ever heard of him was in 2018, when he was a victim of multiple stab wounds in federal prison. Without a doubt, Dean Wiwchar will forever remain in the memories of the locals and law enforcers in Ontario and British Columbia as one of the most violent hitmen to walk the streets. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this in the future. Also comment down below what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching and have a good one.